social media has made, I feel like, overusage of certain terms. And I feel like these terms, like people don't even know what they're saying. Things like toxic and gaslighting and things like that. I want to go over some of those terms. They're like therapy terms and what they actually mean so that we can be using those terms correctly. So it's going to be a good one, guys. Grab your coffee. Let's get into it.
I got mine. You got yours?
Well, I always mean for you to grab your coffee. I never drink an afternoon
audience.
coffee.
You're speaking to the audience.
Yeah, because a lot of them are having coffee with us.
Yes, they are. Shout out to my coffee drinkers.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee too often.
You don't.
But I do. I mean, I like a coffee here and there, but the coffee part of this show comes from you.
Me.
Mm-hmm. Because you are never without.
I know.
That is definitely an addiction.
Yes. I admit 100% that's an addiction. I'm addicted to it.
All right, you guys, if you are not already following us on candidly_with_coffee on Instagram, give us a follow over there for some BTS. If you haven't checked out our Patreon show, make sure you give the Patreon show a chance. It's called Off Topic. Patreon.com/off_topic, because I've had people asking me how do they get to that. And the link is also in the description. And I would like to officially say I've now officially opened the wait list. I know I've talked about it here on the podcast, but I haven't officially opened it like via Instagram yet for Body Bootcamp 14 that's coming up in September. And I have to say, this is the fastest this wait list has ever filled up. It's crazy.
They're ready.
They're ready.
Your ladies are ready to go.
Everybody's
you
ready.
Know what I feel like? I feel like your ladies are like, you know what? I ain't chancing it. It's fall's coming up. Those dangerous months are coming up ahead of us. You got to prepare now. I told my guys, like, be ready. Right now is the summer. Everybody's all charged up in summer, but before you know it, fall's going to be upon us.
Yeah, you know what it is people need to just get over the fact that there's only certain times of the year that I need to focus on my health.
100%, you're right.
It's like, oh, are you going to do something during Christmas? What the fuck is Christmas? Christmas is one day.
Yeah.
Like, yes, of course. You should be focused on your habits, your routines, the basic necessities for living a healthy lifestyle every time. I don't care if it's vacation or...
That's a good point, because since when the fuck do we give passes because it's the month of December? So you're supposed to just feel, I'm just going to take it off because it's the holiday. Who told you that? Who told you that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who gave you a hall pass to say that?
Yeah.
You're taking what off? Why?
It's kind of like when people
You know what I'm
say...
saying? It's dumb.
When people that I'm, working with are like, oh, I don't know if I should sign up for coaching because I have a vacation planned one of those weeks. I'm like, yeah, that's part of life.
That's part of life.
You need coaching even more so, right?
Way more so.
You need coaching on the way into the vacation. How do we handle it? What's the game plan?
Yep.
And then you need coaching coming out of that vacation because we got to see what the damage was done. We got to assess how did you handle it? What can we do differently next time? We have to address what happened, the consequences of your actions on that vacation. And then we have to figure out, okay, what did we learn from it and go on. So the answer is, I don't care if it's spring break, summer vacation, Christmas, Thanksgiving, it doesn't matter. You still need to be working on a healthy lifestyle program.
It's funny how they think that they get a free pass to, which is vacation. I'm going to just go balls out. Like, no, you're going to do more damage.
I think that if you have that mindset at all, like, oh, I'm going to do this after I get back from my vacation or after the holidays, I'm going to focus on this. That right there, that thought process, that's what you need to fix.
Yes.
Because you haven't accepted this as a permanent part of your life. It's kind of like, religious people say, you haven't accepted Jesus in your heart. That's what I feel about your healthy lifestyle.
Right.
You haven't accepted the fact that your health and well-being is a priority in your life. You have to accept that it's an all-the-time thing.
A priority. Exactly what you said. It means a lot. It's not part-time. Your health is full-time.
Yeah. So the answer is, I guess segueing into, I've had a lot of people asking me, will I continue these challenges? Am I going to do one? When is BBC 15? And they just continue. So there's usually a 1 week gap in between each 8 week program. But yes, I will be continuing. Originally, I was going to take a break. This was last year before I transitioned to this new kind of program. And I thought to myself too, like, why would I? Like, people need it the most during the holidays. They need the accountability the most.
The most. This is the most dangerous. Not yet. We're not there yet. But that part of the year coming up is the most dangerous, where people do the most damage.
Yeah.
Because they give the most passes to themselves and think, I'm just going to eat this way. And, oh, Janine, I'm going to get it done after the new year. No, you're not. Stop lying to yourself. We've heard that. We've heard that story a gazillion times. It's dead. It's over. You're not going to get nothing happening.
No.
You got to do it now. Heading into the holiday, during the holiday, and after the holiday. You got to be going through it. That's the hardest part. It's going to be so many Christmas parties, holiday parties, this fiesta, that fiesta. There's always something. You know?
Oh, my God. It's
never ending.
It is never ending. But if you want to join the wait list for BBC 14, here's the deal with the wait list. If you're on my wait list, you're guaranteed a spot. Like, even if that wait list gets up to 500 people, I will figure out a way. I will have a challenge for 500 people. So you're guaranteed a spot if you're on the wait list. You are also guaranteed a spot if you are already in BBC 13, because I've had people saw that I said the wait list was filling up that are in BBC 13. They're like, oh my gosh, what about us? How can we get on to the next one? You get the first set of spots, the BBC 13 people. So don't worry. Now, if you don't get on the wait list and you're not already in BBC 13, you're not guaranteed a spot. I will figure that out when I get there, how many spots are going to be available. Depends on how many people continue on that are in the current challenge. And based on the poll that I took recently in that group, good majority of the people are continuing, and that challenge capped out at 100 people. So just to let you guys know, you'll want to get on the wait list. How are you doing? You had a show. You had a show before we recorded this.
Yeah.
You were interviewing a very interesting...
Dr. Rob Kelly. I told him I want to read his book. Very interesting character. Not your typical doctor. You know, a lot of doctors are stuffy and so by the book, and I got my degree here and there. He's like, man, fuck that. I don't give a shit about what degree, what you got, what you've been through in life. That's what I want to know.
He's from the UK, right?
Yeah, Manchester.
Does he have an accent? Heavy accent? I love the UK accent.
Yeah, he's been through some shit. Grew up similar to me, fighting, bare knuckle fighting on the streets, bodybuilding. Came up in that era. He said he actually got to meet Arnold one time.
Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger, after a bodybuilding show. He got like picked or something to meet him, and he said 3 things that Arnold said to him. I'm going to become highest paid actor. I'm going to become a governor of the United States, preferably California. And then he said, I'm gonna marry into the Kennedys. And he said he almost fell out of his. He said he almost fell out of his chair laughing, like, this guy's crazy. What? You're Austrian. First off, you're not even American. How you gonna be a governor of the United States? Self-belief is incredible. And that shows to show him. He said it to everybody on my show. He goes, stop fucking telling yourself you can't do something. Stop with that. Stop letting society, stop letting your friends, family, anybody telling you can't do it. You can accomplish anything. And I said the same thing. Like, I wasn't born with the best genetics. I was just born with work ethic. I got lucky. I got inspired as a kid by those guys, by Arnold and many other bodybuilders and actors, to look the way I look now at this age, be able to be lifting weights at a young age. I got inspired. Again, you can get inspired to be successful in business. Go look at Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They're nothing special. They don't possess special genetics.
Yeah, it's limiting beliefs.
That's it.
Tim Robbins talks about that a lot. Is that his name? It's not. It's it's Tony.
Tony Robbins. Yes.
I get it wrong every time.
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins was in Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
the actor.
Duh.
Anyways.
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins says that a lot. He says whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, that's the answer.
That's
like,
it.
It starts with your beliefs, because what you tell yourself is what you'll believe, and then what you believe is what you will base your actions off of, and it's your actions that will get you to success. Because you're not gonna, if you tell yourself you can't do something, you are not going to take action to do it, because you've already told yourself you can't do it. So you will not take the action, you will never succeed.
That's so true.
But if you tell yourself, this is what I'm going to do, so you start taking actions to do that thing that you're going to do, and if you don't give up, you will succeed.
That's how it is in our coaching business. Like, you think you can't achieve that dream body? You think you can't achieve abs? Who said you can't? That's everybody. It's under there. We all have that in there. You just got to work hard at it. chop off some weight, chop off some body fat. You'll reveal your true self, what you're meant to be.
You have to believe, then you have to take action, and then you'll get there. But one thing I will say, though, is sometimes, and I have kind of some difficult conversations with clients sometimes because some that are like not happy with their results. And it's, I literally had to say this week to somebody, like, you're unhappy with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Facts.
You didn't do the work.
No.
So that's why you're not getting the results. Come talk to me when you do the work and the results aren't there. Then we figure it out and we'll get you there. Because the hard part is, do I have someone who's willing to do the work? Because if you're willing to do the work, we will get you there. You will be
easy,
best shape of your life.
Easy.
But the problem is the people who are the biggest complainers or the loudest, just in general, I'm not referring to my clients here, but I love my clients. But the people who complain the most about results and this and that, they're the people who are not putting in the work, or they think it takes, they're the type of people that they do what they're supposed to do for a day, and then they go in the next day in the mirror and they look for abs. Like, no, that's not going to happen like that.
Yeah, there's an imposing figure on Instagram. He says the same thing, like, broke people always the one that complain the most, but do the least amount of work and wonder why they're broke. Well, are you doing anything to better yourself? If you're not putting in the work to change yourself, then what do you expect? You think a week or two is going to just change that fast? You expect results? It takes a long time to undo what you did. But guess what? You stay with it. You dig deep, bring that grit out in you, and guess what? 6 months, a year from now, you're going to look back like, wow, we did it. We changed it to a whole nother person.
Right. See, and that's what I have the utmost respect for, people who have identified they have an issue or they need help and they're working on it. Listen, you can be working on it for a long time. It could be a lifelong battle for you, but I have so much respect for people that they're actively working on it. They're trying, they're doing their best, and they're not, because then there's a whole other class of people that they don't want to do anything about it, because doing something about it means they have to give up their vices.
Yep.
And they don't want to do that. But they will sit there and poison an entire room with their negativity and complaints about how shitty they feel, about how much anxiety they have, about how bloated they are. And but they're the people who they don't want to hear what to do, because there's plenty of people that can give you good information on, hey, I know something that'll make you feel better. Do this, that, and the other. But they actually don't want to hear it because they don't want to do anything that's going to cause effort. They just want to hear themselves complain. Those people, no respect for.
Zero. Zilch, nothing.
Yeah, but I think sometimes people will think, they come from a perspective on maybe our perspective, and they think like, wow, you're shaming fat people or something like that. Absolutely not.
Not at all.
Not at all. I'm shaming the lazy, the people who don't want to do things about their problems. I don't care what they look like, whether they're skinny, fat, tall, short, it doesn't matter.
Nope.
My issue and who I shame is the people that are the loudest in a room, that have the most to complain about all their problems, but they actually just want to hear themselves complain because they don't want to do anything about it. And it comes from, those people come in all shapes and sizes and classes and ethnicities, and there is no gender lines, color lines. They come from all, and so those are the people that I have no respect for.
Yeah. Like you said, it doesn't matter whether it's overweight people or skinny people. Skinny people complain too. Oh, I can't get buff like him because he's on all kinds of steroids. Or they make that kind of assumption. Like, no, you're just not putting in the work. You're not lifting a single weight. You're not eating the proper macronutrients to your body like you're supposed to. You're not taking the time to learn. Zero effort. Your mindset is lazy, and you're lazy, and that's why you look the way you do. And you ain't going to get the respect that I get because you look the way you do.
But it's fine if that's what you choose. The problem becomes when they complain and and have a problem about it, or like make a problem about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like complain.
Of course.
And make excuses.
Of course.
Anyways, so moving on to a hot topic I have. I feel like it didn't really get a ton of media. Maybe it did. Maybe I just don't watch the news that often. But that plane crash in Brazil, how tragic.
They got a little bit, not much. You're right. It's like they brushed under the rug. I know why. You know why they do that. Fear. They want people to be fear flying. People, if they showed that really happen exactly what you saw. I didn't see it, but you saw it. They showed that on the news and people visibly saw that. It might think twice.
Is it my imagination or back in our time, like in the 90s, let's say the late 90s.
Yeah.
When something tragic happened, we put it on the news, and not only that, we dove deep into like the families of the lost loved ones, and there was just a lot more like empathy towards the victims. I feel like things nowadays it's like we are calloused because we have so much exposure with social media to so much tragedy now, whereas we didn't have it before, right? We didn't have so much exposure that it's like, oh, a plane crash, 62 people died. I mean,
no big deal.
No big deal. I feel like we've become desensitized to tragedy.
We have. It's sad to say that we have.
It's just sad. Because I'm thinking like, wow, that is so sad. So I sought out stories because I wanted to read about it. So there was a plane crash in Brazil. 62 people died. The plane literally plummeted from 17,000 feet in the air in less than 1 minute, circled down 17,000 feet until it crashed into a gated community. Luckily, nobody on the ground was hurt. It was went into someone's backyard.
What?
Yeah, no one was hurt, but everyone aboard obviously was. I'll put a picture on the screen of the wreckage. But the terror those poor people had, what must have been going on inside of that plane? The people just like being thrown all over the place.
Shrieking, you name it, all the above. They knew that it was over. The plane's doing that, what you said is doing?
Oh, I saw it there was one video where you see the plane spiraling out of the air.
Not nosediving.
It was kind of like a nosedive, but it was kind of like this, like a corkscrew a little bit.
Wow. Yeah. You know if it's nosediving or even corkscrew, it's over. It's not getting back to where.
But I mean, even if you think about what's happening inside of the plane during that, like the people.
The terror?
No, they're not even the terror, babe. I'm thinking people flying around the plane, like just bodies everywhere.
Well, they got seatbelts on, so no, they're not flying.
Oh,
over
maybe.
the plane.
Well, I don't know.
You have to have your seatbelt on, baby, in the plane.
No, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's possible if the seatbelt breaks. But
There
that's
was
why
just.
they have.
I mean, you should see the way the plane comes out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that means they were a minute of just sheer terror. And it just broke my heart. But so then I read on, in this particular plane, there was some sort of confusion at the airport, and some of the passengers were waiting at the wrong gate. 10 people missed the flight because they were waiting at the wrong gate. They were very mad when they closed the doors on them because they were at the wrong gate, and the flight people would not let them on. Those 10 people survived because they're probably like... They're going to be traumatized.
They're going to go to church or...
Can you imagine?
There's something that's going to be like, oh my God, you better thank that person who closed the gate. You better go buy them a gift. You better say thank you. You better say, let's go to church.
Yeah,
you better say...
10 people. The person said, my legs are shaking. Only God knows how I'm feeling. The man said after finding out the plane had crashed. Thank God we didn't get on that plane. The flight attendant said, there's no way I can let you on. I'm going to have to rebook your ticket. I'm sorry. They were very upset. 10 people were waiting the wrong gate. That's just
They got to interview all of them. Just figure out what they feel like. Like, you got a second chance, man.
There was a lot of doctors on that. There was like a lot of prominent people on that flight. There was like 8 doctors that were going to an oncology conference. Just so sad.
Damn.
Yeah, really sad. All right, you guys, let's take a little break for Transcend, and we'll be right back. When's the last time you switched your budget around? If you're spending cash on eating out and buying clothes, but you don't want to spend a bit on your health, what are you even doing? Every day, from the moment you wake up until you go to bed, you have a series of choices that will make or break you. The things you eat, your physical activity or lack thereof, your sleep, it all adds up. Personally, I care about what I put in my body, and I've found that it's hard to put a price on feeling like you're ready to take on the world every day. That's why I leverage the power of hormone optimization and fully customized peptide protocols from Transcend. If you're ready to take your health to the next level, head over to the link transcendcompany.com/ESCOElite and fill out an intake form today. All right, you guys, we are back. Transcend is still having that sale, by the way, IGFLR3 and tezofensine are both 25% off for the month of August. Those are two of their really popular peptides, excellent for body recomping, meaning you want to retain and gain lean muscle while losing body fat. Tezofensine, excellent for appetite control. It's going to help you stay within your macros, kind of take the edge off things. But you check them out. Book a free consult. The consult is free. You have no financial commitment right off the bat. If you choose not to fast track your enrollment and become a patient right away, you simply can just book a free consult. It takes a few days for them to get back to you, but they'll schedule a Zoom call with you. And, you can go over what you're interested in. They'll tell you how the process works. And then you can go from there and decide if you want to be a patient. But I do ask, if you do decide to work with Transcend, please use our link so they know we sent you. It's transcendcompany.com/Esco Elite. All right, now let's get into Comment Corner. So, speaking of peptides, hormones, things like that, Christine Lamb says, great episode. The struggle is real in midlife on multiple levels. I have some questions about Transcend. I'm going through a horrible time with menopause, 4 years. I've been through the ringer with trying to get help from doctors who don't take my symptoms seriously. Even actual gynecologists have the attitude, it's just menopause. It's normal. Just deal with it. I experienced that firsthand. Deal with it. I'm at the end of my rope. The mental, emotional, and physical toll this is taking on me is making me not want to be here. I think you know what I'm saying.
Whoa.
It's crazy, though. And
that's deep. I know exactly what she's saying.
Yeah, but it's just that women just get disregarded for these symptoms. Oh, it's just menopause. They put a stamp on you and,
That's kind of like what the guy I interviewed said, Dr. Rob Kelly's like, some of these doctors are stuck in their old way of thinking. They're not progressive whatsoever.
Exactly.
At all.
And HRT is one of those things, which, by the way, if you stay up to date on the studies regarding HRT, there are studies left and right that are supporting HRT and the health benefits, not only reduce risks, but the health benefits that it has. And so much of that stuff that has caused people to not want to do HRT has been debunked. So you really should revisit it if you just kind of have it in your head like, oh no, I can't do HRT, and really make sure that you truly are not a candidate for it. And which goes on to, her next question, does Transcend have doctors who understand the intricacies of menopause? Yes, they do. They do have licensed doctors and physicians on staff. They also have there's specific wellness specialists that you also work with, right? You work with a wellness specialist, and then your doctor is the one that's going to make the prescriptions. But the wellness specialists, there's a few that have expertise in women's health. And Christine, specifically, I'll send you an email with those people. So if you do decide to do your consult, I'll have you I'll recommend you to one or two of those specific wellness specialists, but they will point you in the right direction. They will go over your complete health history to your doctor, and they're not going to recommend anything to you that's not, that's going to put you at any increased risk based on your health history, your family health history. This is all something that you go over with them. Because I know for me, there's certain things I would probably like to try, but after having my appointment with my doctor with Transcend, we decided certain things to that I shouldn't do based on my family history, my own personal health history. So they're very good about that. They're not just going to, try to get you to take something that might not be good for you. And if I use the link for Transcend, is there a discount for services? So there is a 15% new patient discount with the link. So hopefully that answers those questions. But, it's really sad. I just feel like we're making a lot of progress in this space. But I can tell you this, even as somebody who was in the health and fitness space now for many years, I only just recently, over the past year, really got involved in the whole menopause thing once I went into menopause, and then I did my certification. So for those of you who don't know, I am a certified menopause coaching specialist, but I sought that information out because I wanted to be a resource for women to openly talk about it, because it's kind of been taboo and there's a lot of misinformation.
How do you feel going through it? You went through your menopause, and
Yeah.
You know what you felt like, and then you did HRT, and how do you feel now?
it's no comparison. Yeah.
Your energy, your glow. When people told you look younger, Janine, what are you doing? You're like, what are they talking about? You're looking at your face from those pictures from previously to now.
I come across pictures like that all the time. Also, even like my hairline, like so many different things have just their subtle changes.
Yeah.
It's very subtle, but it's there for sure. It's something that like you notice. And then the way I feel and energy and everything, like that's why I'm a biggest cheerleader for it, just because I know how I feel.
You went through it. That's the best part.
I also know that I didn't realize that I had that option. It's so weird. Even though, like I said, I'm in this health and fitness space.
No, you didn't.
I didn't really, I didn't know a whole lot about it. So if I didn't know a whole lot about it, that just goes to show that most women who are suffering don't know that there is a way out of it.
And for you ladies who don't know this, and you can look this up, you actually carry more testosterone than you do estrogen. I didn't even know this. I learned this on not too long ago, reading in NASM, and there was another person who was an advocate also for HRT, TRT, a woman, and she said that. And I said, oh, shit.
Well, that's another thing is that a lot of times, again, because doctors, their information is outdated. They kind of just do the same blanket therapy to everyone. Oh, you want HRT? Let me just put you on birth control. Or, oh, let me just give you the cream or give you a patch. They're not really analyzing the hormones and monitoring the levels and doing all of that, right? So another thing that I noticed is they're not giving women testosterone.
None. Zero.
But their testosterone levels are in the toilet. Testosterone is excellent for body composition, bone density, mood. There are so many benefits of testosterone. Women need testosterone too. You don't need high levels of testosterone, but there is like a certain nice little range that makes you feel really good. And for whatever reason, that's just not part of a lot of doctors' HRT protocol. So that's why I actually did a post recently on my Instagram like, hey, ladies, even if you're on HRT, if you're not on like a testosterone or even like a DHEA, reach out to your doctor and ask about it because you could be missing out on some additional benefits.
Yeah.
I know Transcend does testosterone. I'm on testosterone and injectable, just a very little bit once a week. And I think it's great. But I don't think a lot of doctors are recommending testosterone.
They're not, especially for women.
And women, they're freaked out like, oh, I don't want to take testosterone. That's steroids. They'll think it's steroids or they'll think they're going to
become a man.
They'll think they're going to get a deep voice or grow body hair. It's a tiny little bit. You will not.
Tiny little bit.
Yeah. You're not going to have any of those side effects at the levels that you will. It's just to get you to normal levels.
That's it.
Your normal levels where you should be to feel your best, to feel optimized, like we like to say. Yes. All right, you guys, let's take a little break for Mega Fit Meals and we'll be right back. Life is busy, and when I get busy and don't have time to meal prep, I reach into my freezer and grab a MegaFit Meals. MegaFit Meals are a macro-friendly meal prep, no subscription required, real quality ingredients. They switch up the menu. You guys, I love them. Their chicken tenders, the margarita pizza, the chicken quesadillas. I mean, this food sounds indulgent, but guess what? It fits right into your macros. Head over to their website, and don't you forget to use code JEANINE. That's code Janine for a discount. Speaking of MegaFit Meals, they're coming today because I forgot to order last week, but we're good. We're going to be restocked on the MegaFit Meals, so that comes in handy because when on busy days, it's really hard. All right, moving on to the next comment. Natalie Christman, when you're 30, midlife seems so far away. You don't realize it really isn't. I don't have children, but I'm taking care of aging parents. Hard to see them slowing down. Going through menopause and the havoc wreaks on our hormones, changes in our bodies, and trying to figure it out. I've been living a healthy lifestyle since my 20s. Diet and exercise, was a fitness instructor for years. So I felt like I had a good handle on things until the last couple of years. I have never felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. The changes in my body I wasn't prepared for. Thank you both for being real. Sometimes I feel alone in this struggle, but it's comforting to know I am not. Yeah, it sneaks up on you even if you think you're prepared.
Yeah, it does. And even in men, they don't want to accept it when they need it. And that's why men are walking around depressed and mental health because your T levels are probably low. You're not feeling like a man like you should be. You're not happy. Your energy levels are low. You know what I'm saying? And they still refuse to take it, refuse to do anything about it. It's okay, we'll stay in that space then.
Well, what I like to say a lot about that is I don't really feel like a lot of people know, they don't really believe it's their hormones. Because when you're feeling down and you're sad or moody or blue or irritated, it happens so gradually, and sometimes it's just hard to believe that it's because your hormones are off. You just kind of get used to feeling like that. That's just the new who you are. You just think that's who you are. I'm just a grumpy person.
You accept it, yeah.
You know, and it's like your baseline becomes feeling like crap, and I don't think it just doesn't feel like some hormones are going to make you feel better. It's kind of hard to believe a little bit. Like this little pill I take is going to change things, but it really does.
Yes.
All right. I can relate to having a sensitive gut. It seems like it's worse with veggies, grains, and seeds. Anything with too much fiber, and I get super bloated. It's very common with certain fibrous greens to get you bloated. Brussels sprouts is another one. Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli.
Yeah.
We talked about it on a couple episodes ago on the supplements episode. All right. Moving on to a message from One Up Nutrition, and we'll be right back. It is no secret to you guys by now how much I love my One Up Nutrition supplements. They are a part of my daily routine, from the daily cleanse and the Gut Health Plus that help keep my digestion on point, to their protein powders that I incorporate into so many different recipes. The ISO protein is very easy to digest and only 110 calories per scoop. The whey protein is delicious. The flavors are so good and always have little extra crunchy cookie pieces in them that just take the flavor to the next level. Their powders like the Pure Rebuild and the pre-workout are a staple in my daily workout routine. Their flavors are amazing. I'm alcohol-free these days, but I swear when I drink some of these flavors from One Up, I actually feel like I'm having a delicious mocktail. Their products are third-party tested, so you know what you're getting. They're made in the USA. If you use code Janine at checkout for a discount. That's JEANINE. All right, you guys, we're back. So rate the horchata protein powder.
10.
Because I haven't tried it. Really?
I love it.
You're honest? 10?
Yes, I love it. I've been making ice creams with it almost every
I know,
night.
really? It's that good?
I enjoy it, yes.
Is there any pieces of anything in it? Is there any speckles, or is it just pure?
Just pure. I need to do a milkshake, though.
Yeah. I got to try it.
That's
Anyways.
next. I only done the ice cream, but it tastes delicious to me.
All right, you guys heard it. Mike says
I had
it's
it
a 10.
last night.
I don't know. I'll have to see. I should have came and got a bite of your ice cream.
I
need to try it.
It's good.
All right, so I want to get into what I was talking about at the top of this show. And I think it's because of, again, I blame everything on social media, but things are just so different now than when we were younger, because
way different.
Everybody thinks they're like a therapist or whatever.
An expert in the field. Even
especially
in our field.
like on TikTok.
Oh,
and I'm not going to say that I'm not guilty of overuse on some of these things. I want to put that out right now. I'm not saying I am innocent of these things. I actually wanted to figure out what these words really meant so that I can start using them properly as well. But what I'm talking about is words like trauma, toxic, trauma bond, gaslight, those kind of things. So let's go into some of them, okay? The first one, trauma. Don't you notice that everyone says, like, I have a lot of trauma, or I've been through trauma?
Yep, they throw it around quick.
So trauma is something people refer to, right, as like something emotional that they've gone through. It's often confused with grief, anxiety, and depression. But trauma is actually more of like a specific triggering event. You know what I mean? It's like a specific like traumatic moment.
Of course.
Is trauma. So like trauma is a deep emotional wound caused by a very distressing or painful experience. It affects a person's feelings, thoughts, and behavior long after that event happened. But it's often confused with like grief. So, for example, the difference between maybe my experience with the death of my mom and your experience with the death of your mom. Obviously, we both have grief. But with my grief, I also have trauma. There was a traumatic event in the hospice, in her death, in that process.
Yeah.
It was very traumatic. I almost had to process it as like two separate things. There's a trauma piece, and then there's the grief. But they're not the same thing. The trauma is a specific, like it's like a moment that becomes almost like replayed in your brain. And I know my niece, Michelle, who've been on here, a few times now, she had a very traumatic reaction to dealing with that trauma. It's very much trauma for her. And in her therapy, her therapist described it as also two separate events. It's like you have to process this trauma, and then you're going to have to deal with your grief. It's like two different things.
Wow. Interesting.
But trauma usually can be a very specific event. Now, PTSD is your behaviors and your actions literally change and are affected by said trauma, and it will impact how you behave in the future. That trauma. In fact, PTSD specifically is you are like stuck in a loop and you relive the trauma. So that's what PTSD is. So a lot of people say, oh, I have PTSD, I have PTSD. But PTSD literally is in your mind, in your heart, and the way you react, the way you feel, is like you're going through that trauma on a loop. Like you're on a Ferris wheel, and if the trauma was like the war, like you are in the war.
Yeah, you really.
It's like you never left the war. Yes. And when you have the PTSD episode, it's like takes you right back to that traumatic experience in the war. A lot of veterans deal with PTSD. But again, PTSD is something I've used it. I definitely have said, oh, I have PTSD. I have PTSD from this, PTSD from that. It's very loosely used.
Yes, it is.
But the reality of someone that's truly struggling, for one, they had a trauma that's debilitating to begin with that they have to process, and now their life is affected by said trauma because they continue to relive it.
That's so true. They live it over and over in their head. They don't let it go.
Yeah.
We know some people who do that.
No, yeah, for sure. I know that my niece, Michelle, she says that she has PTSD, and she does relive it. That's why she has these horrible nightmares, and a lot of times it's reliving the situation. Now, I do have some trauma. That was a traumatic event, like the hours, watching my mom die. That is something that it affects me. Like it's like I feel like the trauma, but I don't think I have PTSD from it. I don't think it affects the way I live my life. And I don't feel like I'm necessarily reliving it over and over, but it's like it takes a piece of you. It's like that, a very traumatic, it's like a permanent sore in your chest.
Yeah.
It's just there permanently.
Ours was two different situations. You actually physically saw your mother pass.
Right.
I didn't.
Right. So it's just more of like dealing with the grief of them passing rather than the event that led to the passing.
Yes. I didn't have that.
Yeah. All right. This one, trauma bond. I've heard people talk about a trauma bond so much, and they will say, oh, I'm attracted to this person and we are attracted to each other because we're trauma bonded. Meaning, and what their meaning is, they have both come from like troubled childhoods, or they both have like, maybe they both came from abusive homes, or they're both from the streets or whatever, and they both have all this trauma, and now because of their trauma, they're bonded. That is not the correct use of trauma bond.
Fake news.
Trauma bond is a strong emotional attachment that forms between a person and their abuser.
Oh.
Often as a result of repeated cycles of abuse and then positive reinforcement. Despite the harm caused by the abuser, the victim feels a deep connection and may even feel loyal and love towards them, making it feel difficult to leave the relationship. So a perfect example of a trauma bond is my mother and my father. My mom and my dad were trauma bonded. My mom, she was in this loop of being belittled, and then he would like pull her back in. It's an abuser-abusee relationship is a trauma bond.
Damn. I never knew that one. That's new to me.
You've never heard someone say we're trauma bonded?
No, I swear.
I hear it all the time, and I hear it misused.
Never heard it.
Yeah, and I hear it. It's misused, but now it makes sense. And then when I read up on it,
it's not the same thing as when I'm drawing a blank when the kidnapper.
Stockholm syndrome.
There you go. That's the word I'm looking for.
It is. That's what I always referred to. My mom's dynamic with my dad was I felt like it was a Stockholm syndrome, because although a lot of times she would complain about how miserable she was and be so miserable, but when he gave her a little bit, it's like if you make somebody really freaking thirsty, like you withhold water for days, but then you're the one to go in there and give them a couple sips of water, then you're the hero, but you're the one who withheld the water.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, so grateful. Thank you for the 3 sips of water. That's like a Stockholm syndrome, right?
Yeah,
a kidnapper.
Yes.
That to me that's what trauma bond is. Yeah.
Wow.
So basically that's what it is. That's crazy. But that's why a lot of times there's a lot of relationships. That's why people stay in the relationships, because it is obviously the person creating the trauma for the abusee, they want that control, right? And the person who is the recipient of that abuse, they don't leave, because the minute that they want to leave or they get the strength to leave, the person turns on the giving part. They give a little. They turn on the nice. So you feel like, oh, they do love me.
Yes.
I have to say, on a lighter scale, I can understand, because that is, listen, I consider myself a strong person, but it is that behavior over the course of the 2 years that I did care for my dad that kept me on. Because when he felt like he was pushing me too far, he would suck me back in with a moment, with a tender moment. And I would be like, oh, my daddy, who used to call me Smurf. And I feel like, oh, he does love me.
Yeah.
And he would kind of suck me in. And he would do that every time he'd push me away. So it's like the moment you're the most mad, and then you become the most vulnerable. It's crazy.
It all comes down to the human psyche. That's
so now I know.
Dr. Rob Kelly just talked about that.
Yeah. So now I know what that was. It was a trauma bond.
Yeah.
But I broke it. I broke it pretty quickly, thank God. But I broke it. Part of my ability to break it was having you and Tyler kind of like an outside perspective telling me like, no, this is not right. Because it's like I needed to be convinced that it was not right. Because when you're in the thick of it, you don't realize it. So I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are stuck in these relationships that are in this dynamic, and it really breaks my heart for them, because I think about my mom, who was truly perfect example of a trauma bond. Okay, this is a term that we're going to figure it out right now, because I've gotten this one so confused for so long. I'm going to ask you what you think. Do you know what gaslighting means?
Not true meaning of it, no. Just I hear people using it, throwing it around.
But what do you kind of think?
I think like they're just talking shit, trying to put you on blast. That's what I take it as.
Okay, so gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where someone makes you doubt your own thoughts, feelings, or reality. The person doing the gaslighting might deny things that you know happened, twist the truth, or blame you, making you feel confused or questioning your own sanity. I know, and I'm not going to bust this person out because we got to keep it private for the sake of the victim here, but I know of a gaslighter that this perfectly defines his behavior. But they basically make you feel like you are going crazy. My dad was also a gaslighter, 100%.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
They play dumb.
I never said that. Or to me, what I've thought of as a gaslighter is someone who they'll purposely fire you up. And when you are like, they'll poke the bear to the point where you're about ready to erupt in the way they know how. And then when you get mad, they go, Why are you so mad?
Right? I hate that.
Why are you so upset?
Yeah.
They're lighting your gas, right? They're putting gas on the fire.
Gotcha.
And then they're like, where's the fire coming from? Well, I don't get it. But they're the ones who threw the gas on the fire.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that a lot of people misuse gaslighting, though. Like you said, I don't think they really know what it means. But it's psychological manipulation for sure. It is someone that they're going to make you in a gaslighting situation. You are the one that's losing your cool. If you are being gaslit, you are the one that's losing your cool. You are made to feel like you're going to go crazy.
They make you want to snap, and then they make you seem like you're the bad guy or something's wrong with you.
Yeah, so like an example, so you guys can understand gaslighting. So you clearly remember a conversation where someone promised to do something, but when you bring it up later, they say, that never happened. You must be imagining things. Oh my God, I'm triggered just hearing that. Triggered. Another one, though, twist the facts. After a heated argument, the person says, I wasn't angry at all. You're just too sensitive, even though they were clearly raising their voice and showing anger. Because you'd be like, you were so mad. Like, I'm not mad at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Like they'll like, again, they light you up and then they back up and become soft.
Yeah.
Ugh, there's nothing worse than a gaslighter. But actually, gaslighting, they often get confused or interchanged with like narcissism. The reason for that is because a narcissist oftentimes also is a gaslighter.
Of course.
It kind of goes hand in hand.
Of course.
Right? But narcissist is also something that is overused. Not everybody is a narcissist.
That word, I hear that gets thrown around a lot.
And just because somebody has self-confidence or kind of an ego or, a little bit of a grandiose sense of self.
Yeah.
Doesn't automatically mean they're a narcissist. To be truly a narcissist, you have to exhibit the characteristics of a narcissist in all aspects of your life and throughout like your whole life. It's usually not a true narcissist is a narcissist, period. Like they don't know how to not be a narcissist, right? They're not just exhibiting those narcissistic tendencies with one particular person. It is all-encompassing in their life.
All across the board.
So if you suspect that you are dealing with a narcissist, you have to look at like their relationships with other people.
Yeah. And
do they also fall in line with narcissistic tendencies with other people too? But I think it's,
That's so true because they could be one way with you and then be a certain way with another person. I've seen it. A real narcissist.
No, a narcissist though, but what I'm saying is to be an actual true narcissist, it's not an isolated incident. If you believe like, for example, it wasn't meant to be an episode about my dad, but that's my knowledge of a narcissist.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know my dad was a narcissist. I didn't really think about it until I had these experiences with him. But then in hindsight, to really figure it out for myself, is this what this is? I dug a little and I thought to myself, let me think about all of the relationships that he's had with people throughout the years.
Yes.
And does it track? Have there been narcissistic tendencies in situations with all of those relationships every time there was drama or whatever? Or is it just isolated to my experience with him? And obviously my answer was, I could go way back. I went back to like his relationship with my teachers and when I was young and just everything.
What was your conclusion?
Well, that it's always been there. It's just that I didn't know. I didn't know. But in hindsight, oh yeah, okay, clear narcissist. But I think a lot of times people are labeled a narcissist when they're not. And I find that once you have had the wrath of a true narcissist, you are so sensitive to anything that scares you into thinking, oh my God, is this person a narcissist? That you jump to judgment sometimes. And I'm guilty. I'm thinking like, it's like PTSD. I feel like, oh my God, is that person a narcissist? Like, no, I can't be in a relationship with them. I can't go into business with them. I can't do this if they're a narcissist because I know what that leads to. You know, the mask hasn't fallen off yet, but if they're a narcissist, I know what it leads to. So I'm a little more careful. But there are certain things I know for a fact that a narcissist must lack. To be a true narcissist, they lack empathy. They literally lack empathy. And that's a lot of times a way that you can differentiate if someone is a narcissist versus are they just an egotistical kind of, self-loving, confident person, or are they a narcissist? And usually the difference between the two is empathy. Because a narcissist, they just lack the ability to actually form deep, meaningful connections with people that are not self-serving. Everything is self-serving.
Interesting.
And they just lack the ability to feel what someone else might feel. Like, I'm not going to say this to that person because this might make them feel a certain way, and I don't want that. They lack that ability to even understand that. So that's kind of like the defining factor for me. But I just think we have to be careful because we throw it out too easily. We throw out some of these terms. Toxic is another one. Like, what happened to like medium words? Don't you feel like back in the day we
didn't throw those words out back in those days.
We weren't so harsh with like words that were so, instead of saying like narcissist, we would just say like, conceited or.
Yes.
I
try to look back at my life and figure out if there were narcissists in my life, and I didn't catch it because I didn't know. Even with women, I try to look, damn, did I ever date one? Got me thinking. I saw what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what one was. I learned through you. What you went through. I'm like, did I have those relationships with people? I'm sure I did. I'm sure they're there, but I didn't catch it. It flew over my head.
Yeah, I know of I can say that I know of 2 people that I've come across that were like real, like clinical narcissists, and you can track it back. Like they have like some generational trauma, going back to those words, trauma, because usually, it's not just born in someone. It usually has to do with their childhood and like things that have been instilled in them and loss and all kinds of things that they've been through. And in both of these people that I know, there is like that generational trauma piece. Actually, I know a few, but they're all in that same age range, right? But then the children of those narcissists end up having some tendencies.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is to just be aware, of those tendencies and be self-aware and be willing to like work on it and like check yourself. I'm so much more aware of myself these days because of what I learned. Because listen, you can't change whether or not you went through a difficult situation. You can't change who your parents were. But you can make a choice to like change your actions and who you are so that you can correct it for the future generation. So it doesn't become generational trauma and then it's another generation, right? So I'm not saying, I feel like completely honest, I feel like all of my siblings, we all have a little bit that we gleaned off of, our parents, both of our parents. I'm a lot like my mom. I have some like my dad as well. But I'm aware now. And so I'm careful to check myself every once in a while to make sure that I maintain my empathy and sympathy for people. And like, I think things through. And I'm glad. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for that awareness because if you're not aware, you just go about this life and then you just pass that on. Now it's another generation that's going to come from, that's going to have those narcissistic tendencies.
You said it's not genetics though.
No, it's not. But but I was raised. It's how you raise. It's not that whole thing, right? What is it called? Nature, nurture.
Yeah.
Right. It's not necessarily genetic, but I was raised by someone who put in like, you're better than everybody else. You're at the top. You're the best at everything.
Yeah.
That's what he instilled in me.
Yeah.
I definitely know that part of who I am, and not all bad, it's not all bad.
Yes.
But part of who I am comes from that, which is a very narcissistic way of thinking, right? But that's what instilled my work ethic. I wanted to do things. I wanted to be the best at everything and all of that. That came,
Yes.
but
Your
when
competitive drive.
Right, but when you're self-aware, you don't do that despite and do that to hurt other people or do that to make other people feel bad. You change it a little bit. You know, it's watered down. Each generation, it's kind of watered down.
Yeah.
If you're aware and you don't, feed the monster.
Yeah.
Right? But it's very easy to feed the monster.
Easy.
Suddenly you come into some money and you have those tendencies and you have a lot of money. Suddenly you think you can be shitting on people and it creates monsters,
talking
right?
all crazy and disrespectful down to people.
Yeah.
Thinking you're better than the next man.
I think the true measure of somebody is when they achieve great success or wealth, how they treat people. Because I know that in my experiences, those things, money or wealth or material things, is what fed the narcissist. They grew into bigger narcissists.
Yep, I agree.
So I think that's when you really have to check yourself, especially is like if you come into like wealth or success or those things that you're working towards that you're trying to be the best at. If I someday become like a multimillionaire or whatever, and I want to be checked. I want someone to be like, look, you need to get off your high horse. If I start exhibiting, if it turns me into that green monster, because that's what usually would fuel my dad's issues was that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But again, I ranted and raved here, but.
Yes, you did.
Keep in mind, guys, though, these words, though, even though we've talked about them, we've experienced them, don't use them so loosely because they carry a lot of weight. You know what I mean? Trauma, PTSD. If you use it loosely, you might be diminishing what it really means for somebody who's really going through it with any of those things.
Exactly.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. See you in the next one.
See you.